I might be a little biased as well, since I feel like every time I talk to Matt, like at a regional or whatever, it every time again and again, I just know like, oh yeah, this man, he knows Pokemon very well.
He's,
like you can tell from just a few sentences always. So yeah, love to see him play every single time.
Yeah, I see. Like, and especially Narrowwitch versus Guillermo. That's a really good one to finish off the stream on there. They're very, very good players. My Stars versus a world runner-up. So you can't ask for really anything more than that. But I think with that,
Team sheets.
Shall we, Shona, start thinking about the first match that we're going to be seeing today?
We can, very much so, and we are going to be taking a look at the team sheets of these two players first. First up, we will be watching from the perspective of Alexavier, who is bringing with him a rain team of Sinistcha, Incineroar, Basculegion, Archaludon, Pelipper, and Ursaluna. Very similar to what I'm currently playing.
Okay, so take notes here. Shona, if you see anything that's slightly different to normal. I really like the look of this team as well. It's kind of the new wave of rain teams. The original one being the Amoonguss Golden Go variant, and this one's slightly different where Sinistcha replaces Amoonguss, and then you have this Trick Room mode. It's not always the Ursaluna that goes in that Trick Room slot, but it's definitely a really, really good option. I like to see that a lot of these Archaludons tend to be Terra fighting to deal with Public Enemy number 1 King Gambit. But this one maintains the more defensive nature of the Terra Bug that you see on the more standard rain teams. And I really like that mismatch of the compositions where you're taking like a little bit of good things from this version of the team and some good things from the other version of this rain team. I think this is looking really, really strong.
Yeah, and I mean, what's interesting here to me is that this Incineroar does run Flare Blitz. Usually if there is an Incineroar on a rain team, you know, I expect it to not even have a fire move, since, you know, it does kind of anti-synergize with that. But to be fair, you know, if you go for the Trick Room mode, you might just not have to bring the rain mode at all. And then you have fire coverage as well.
Exactly. As like, having played this archetype quite a bit, I still play Flare Blitz on the Incineroar. It's really useful for the early games, and maybe you don't bring Pelipper in the lead. But yeah, it's a great option, and it's just showing that Alexavier is thinking about that. And this is why I think you can see that Alexavier is a pretty accomplished player overall. 5 times world competitor, top 8s, top 4s, top 32s across various years. And that's definitely something that Alexavier is going to be taking his experience of into this match.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like the differences, like for me personally, in terms of what Pokemon I play, I don't have the Basculegion on there anymore, but I used to, and it was definitely one of my favorite Pokemon in this rain composition. It's just so strong. The damage it deals is insane. I love that it has that Flip Turn ability, and the Aqua Jet is also really, really powerful if you're playing against like Manual Sun. So love to see the rain team in the current format. And I believe we're ready to move on to the next team sheet, which is of course Alexavier's opponent, Carlos Matamoros, rocking a Tatsugiri Dondozo combination with the Zoroark, Goldengo, Rillaboom, and Dragonite as well.
All right, before we get into this, let's just call out Connecticut Day champion. That is a grassroots event in Costa Rica that Carlos has been able to win a couple of times. Now, maybe this is something that's really important because you don't know every player that plays Pokemon competitively. They don't have the capability, or maybe they don't really feel like just going to the official tournaments, going to those live events, and so we never necessarily see these players, but they could be the best player that plays Pokemon out there.
And this, I think,
is something like really exciting, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I can definitely say, like, also from the Austrian community, there are really strong players we have that just don't attend regionals, and I'm sure, or that surely is the case in other countries as well. So, you know, especially those kind of players I love to feature on stream and cast their matches, and so they also get a chance to show the community. They might not have gone to any regionals yet, but they are very much a threat in the online World Cup.
Okay. Zoroark, Tatsugiri, Dondozo. If you were seeing this team in team preview, Shoda, what are you thinking?
Well, I have played against Zoroark before. I've also played Zoroark myself, and it's tricky because having 3 immunities on Zoroark means that a lot of the strategy behind just going for damage, if it's like a normal move I want to use or a fighting move, that just doesn't work, or doesn't safely work.
Right.
I can say from my experience with Zoroark, I think I have to just commit to, do I call out that it is a Zoroark or, do I not? And I just go for the big damage. Don't stall too much and don't let the Zoroark get ahead in terms of damage. Because I feel like you can lose the damage race to a Pokemon like it very quickly if you, play too carefully around it and then just lose too much time, lose too much resources. It is interesting though that, because that back then was more of a very hyper-offensive choice spec Zoroark, this one in combination with like Dozo Tatsugiri is again a little bit different in that case. So not quite sure if we're looking at the Rain team of Alexavier. I think that's the thing, because usually I'd say Incineroar is like not a bad lead here, but against Zoroark, I don't know. I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
it's
Terra
tricky.
fighting Terra Blast is yeah, it is. Okay, all right. Well, we've got the game ready. So, shall we see how this goes? If this Zoroark even comes into play in this match, I think let's transition over when we can to the match. Let's get things kicked off here. First match of the World Cup on stream. Here we go. Rillaboom Dondozo.
Versus the Archaeologist and Pelipper. So,
okay.
What we will get to see here is that the Rillaboom is in fact the Rillaboom. The Grassy Surge has triggered. But that's the thing, you just mentioned, Carlos might not even bring the Zoroark, but that doesn't mean it's not doing work, as long as the illusion has not been broken, you don't even have to bring it into your team of 4, and the opponent still has to respect the fact that this could very well be a Pokemon with 3 immunities.
And that might not even be a Dondozo, I think, is the big thing. One of the powerful things you can do with Dondozo is lead a slow Pokemon like Dondozo, or have the illusion that it's a Dondozo. People think, oh yeah, I'm faster than that, I can just double target into it. It's a Dondozo, I really want to. But hey, hang on a second. That Dondozo is actually really quick and really powerful. And I think that's what Alexavier is respecting here. Terra Bug on Archaeolodon to counteract a potential Terra Fight and Terra Blast from the Zoroark, if it is there.
It's gonna get that fake out though from the Rillaboom, which will give it a stamina boost. Dondozo's not going to care about that too much.
There it is!
It is not
a
Dondozo!
It is!
It
okay.
is not a Dondozo. It is that Zoroark, and this Pelipper is not going to be able to use Tailwind now.
Haha! Alright, we're starting this how we mean to go on. Zoroark confirmed on the field. That is a Dondozo, but that's also confirming that there is at least a Dondozo in the back for Carlos. And that means that the likely 4th Pokemon is Tatsugiri. And this is one of the weird things about running Zoroark, is you're actually giving away more information in the early game. But it's so that you can get these really more powerful positions. And I really respect the way that Alexavier has been able to respect that Zoroark properly and put their Archaeolodon into a position where it's actually not as threatening.
Oh yeah, but I gotta say, I love the way that Dondozo just used Shadow Ball, that animation. That looked really funny to me there for a second. But yeah, that being a Zoroark means that, there is no Unaware on the field right now, so these Electro Shots are going to boost the special attack of this Archaeolodon slowly, and in combination with that Hurricane, that Rillaboom has been taken out. So we might get to see 2 Dondozo on the field right now. Personally, I think that the last Pokemon then is probably also Tatsugiri to have that Tatsugiri mode.
Yeah, you think?
There's the Dondozo, the real one. We have 2 of them on the field.
I don't know, it's early in the morning, Shoda. Am I still having a nightmare? I don't know.
Did not dream well last night, and it's
The Dondozos are coming for me again. No, this is pretty crazy because now it's unlikely that the Dondozo that's actually a Dondozo is going to switch out for the Tatsugiri. It's likely that the Zoroark is, and that gives Alexavier a little bit of information about where is probably good to target in this spot. And even though the Dondozo's got unaware and the Archaludon's boosts aren't really racking up, the fact that Alexavier is going to be able to drop a bunch of Dragon Pulses into that slot pretty reliably over time will stack up against this Dondozo. The grassy terrain, the leftovers recovery will be adding up really quickly. So Carlos has got to do a lot with this Dondozo Tatsugiri combination that's just switched in.
I really want to see right now if this Dondozo is faster than the Archaludon or not. We are going to see the Terra on the Dondozo here. And, the Unaware is active right now. The rain is up. So I'm wondering how much this Wave Crash could do into this Archaludon. Can it take it out or not? Really depends on how this Dondozo and this Archaludon are built. The Dondozo is faster here, so gonna get that Wave Crash up, and that's gonna take it out. Yeah,
okay.
That is the power of Dondozo.
Yeah, I was wondering because the Archaludon had a stamina boost. But I was wondering if that was going to be enough, that the rain is counteracting the... and the Weather Ball into what was the Zoroark, trying to break the sash.
And the Dondozo, it does have Unaware, so it even ignores defense boosts from Archaludon.
Right. Yes. Okay, I am awake. I promise, Shona, I am actually awake. I promise.
I think a lot of us are not yet, so don't worry about it too much. But I actually just checked that so this Dondozo is on the faster side, or this Archaludon could be on the slower side as well, because it is possible for Dondozo after its Geomancy boost to be either slower or faster than Archaludon's. So Luna here is going to go for that Protect first to get that Flame activated, and the Dondozo is going to substitute in its face in return, and that's going to be really nice in, to deal with those incoming Headlong Rush from the Ursaluna. But the Tailwind is set up now.
Yeah, and this really does change the game, right? Because the Pelipper Weather Ball with Terra Steel on the Dondozo is likely to be able to break that substitute, even though that the Dondozo has got all of its boosts going, which in combination with a Headlong Rush afterwards, if the Ursaluna is trained faster than the Dondozo naturally, could be enough to break this, especially with the Ursaluna already protected last turn. This is a little bit of a risk here, but I think the idea from Alexavier is to break the substitute as he's doing now with a Headlong Rush, and the rain, which has been on the field for quite a while, probably dissipates at the end of this turn, and Alexavier really is valuing the Choice Band Basculegion in the back.
Yeah, the Basculegion is definitely going to need that rain boost to activate the Swift Swim against the Dondozo, as well against the Zoroark later in the back. It is still very tricky here for both players. The Zoroark in the back also still has its Focus Sash active, so it will definitely live at least one move. And the Basculegion cannot protect. It's a Choice Band, which means massive incoming damage, but also it can be hit very easily, and it kind of has to lock into Wave Crash here, because if it goes for Last Respect, even though that's a powerful move here, you cannot hit the Zoroark with that. So you're forced to go for the Wave Crash, which is also going to give you a lot of recoil damage. And who knows if the Dondozo can just take out the Basculegion with an Order Up, or decides to target the Pelipper instead.
Even a Wave Crush is probably going to do it.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, Last Respect is the lock-in. Last Respect.
Is the lock-in.
Yeah, which I think to your point, Sharon, I think that's probably gonna be good for the early part of this trading. The Basculegion, after its, the thing is, you've got to, as the Basculegion, you've got to knock out the Dondozo, then you've got to knock out the Tatsugiri, because the Pelipper is not really doing that, and so I think the idea is that the Pelipper is trying to 1v1 the
The Zoroark.
Pelipper is trying to 1v1 the Zoroark, and if you position this so you're in Tailwind, maybe that's possible. But I think Tailwind is going to expire at the end of this turn, and so Pelipper would have to. Yeah, there we go. The Pelipper would have to then reset it up. But while it's doing that, then the Zoroark can be going on the offensive. So this is looking pretty good now for Carlos, I think.
Yeah, because although the Last Respect here is going to be able to take out this Tatsugiri, it is Choice Scarf, so it can't protect. And I'm gonna guess this should easily knock out the Tatsugiri, but the Zoroark can just completely ignore this Vascular Legion here now. So if the Zoroark just goes for a Terra Blast even into this Pelipper, it is a Sash Pelipper. It will die in 2 turns. So if the Zoroark, just protects in there,
there is one way out of this game for Alexavier. It's the Hurricane, isn't it?
Oh, I suppose that is true. The confusion. Yeah, that of course is always an option.
Okay,
and,
so Tatsugiri goes down. Last Respect is very, very strong.
Oh,
the Taunt instead.
Taunt.
Okay, this may be it. So Hurricane goes down, and now there's no flinches. There's no ability for Carlos to get any other secondary effects that would stop this Pelipper. The Pelipper does have a Focus Sash, and so now the tables have turned somewhat, where Carlos is actually on the back foot rather than the front foot.
Yeah, that was always supposed to be either a Terra Blast or a Shadow Ball. Like the taunt there, I'm not quite seeing what the strategy behind that was, but I might.
But trying to catch a Tailwind again. But I think Carlos may be thinking.
I don't think Alexavier would have really benefited from that. Oh, the double. No, was that a double protect right there? Yeah,
it was a double protect. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, we're waiting for the inevitable here. I think. Oh, I know what's happening. Yeah. The protect stalling for the weather to go down, so that maybe Hurricane misses and the weather ball is a normal type. Here it is.
Yes.
The double protect is really big here, because now it can be 2 attacks from the Zoroark, and the Hurricane isn't necessarily going to hit into this Zoroark. So Terra Blast coming out. It's going to take this Pelipper close down to low HP. Last Respect, we know that that's not going to be doing anything. Here it is.
And the Hurricane hits. Okay. I actually have a lot to say about this end game. So
Tell me.
Take it,
Tell me.
One point at a time. So the taunt, in my opinion, should have never come out there from the Zoroark.
Yeah,
Even if the Pelipper goes for the Tailwind, you keep your Focus Sash, so you go for damage one time, let the Pelipper to whatever the next turn, and then just KO the Pelipper. In that situation, also, of course, a Hurricane confusion can always happen, but I think you still just go for the attacks there. You don't go for taunt hoping the Pelipper goes for Tailwind.
I feel like Carlos had locked in the taunt, and probably after the Hurricane came out realized, like, oh, okay, this is maybe how I let this game slip through my fingers, and then adjusted with the double protect, but then didn't have it pay off. And I think, but you've got to give a lot of credit to Carlos for like realizing that is like, oh, okay, I put myself in a worse position than maybe I had the opportunity to, but actually I can still make something of this. This isn't an automatic loss. So we've got to give Carlos some credit there. Okay, game 2. Pretty explosive. The Zoroark did quite a lot, and it put quite a lot of pressure on overall. What are you thinking adaptation-wise?
I think like from Alexavier's side, it looked pretty fine in the early game. Like I actually am also fine with just going for the Tailwind and not really fearing one of these Pokemon being a Zoroark. Because even if it is, like, what is it really doing right now? Okay, it can go for a taunt on the Pelipper, but you have a Focus Sash, the Pelipper is going to survive. You can maybe set up a Tailwind later, which he did. So I think that game plan was fine. Like we said before, also, the end game with the locking into Last Respects into Wave Crash, if the Zoroark does not go for the taunt, you already automatically lose that end game unless the Hurricane gets a confusion or something. So I
But
think
you also
it's
don't
more the
necessarily
end
knock out the
game.
Tatsugiri.
That's
with
also
the
true,
wave
yeah.
crash.
So
It's
I
tough,
think
it's
the
tough,
end game
yeah.
has to be a little bit different from Alexavier's side, and on Carlos' side, honestly, maybe just click more damage buttons. I don't know.
You heard it here first, everyone. Click more damage buttons. I like that. I mean, as someone that enjoys both a nice stally closed loop game where you're just switching and pivoting and just getting yourself slightly better every time. I also like those games where you can just click the damage button and knock some things out. Right. Shall we get into game 2? Let's see how this goes. Let's see if Carlos can come back.
Let's see if he can. I am ready to get into this game 2 right here. Are we gonna see the Rillaboom Dondozo leap once again? Question is,
Watch out for the grassy.
is that a Dondozo? Is that a Rillaboom? Well, Pelipper is gonna get a drizzle first, and the Archaludon is
That's
chilling
a
at
Rillaboom.
a Rillaboom. That is a Rillaboom. But is that a
Okay.
Zoroark or a Dondozo?
And again, I think to your point earlier, Shoda, you're right in as much that a Tailwind can come out later. Sometimes the pressuring these Focus Sash Moms is really just a case of just you've got two relatively bulky things in front of you. Just go for those damaging options into it. Protect on the Pelipper comes out. Grassy Glide, is this a double up? Yeah, okay. Double up here into the Pelipper, so nice read there from Alexavier. You can see what Carlos is going for as well. Trying to get the damage on the board, trying to knock out that Pelipper. That removes the Tailwind as an option, but also removes the rain for later on. Because Dondozo Tatsugiri is a combination that can get through all 5 turns of rain, no questions asked. Electroshock taking that Dondozo down to its Focus Sash, but it's not a Dondozo. Of course, it's that shiny Zoroark. And while it's going to recover a little bit of HP, I think the most of the damage has been done there onto that Zoroark. It's now really there for taunt, but maybe to launch out that little bit of damage. I don't know if you notice here, Shoda, we don't have a Terra Bug on the Archaludon this turn. There could be an opportunity to Terra Fighting Terra Blast here.
Oh, there very much could be, yeah. So that is something Alexavier will have to keep in mind. And although Carlos here went for the double up into the Pelipper, I do respect that double up still, and I also respect Alexavier for calling that and going for that protect in that turn. So in my opinion, very fair turn from both players. Zoroark is going to go for that protect here, which means Pelipper could set up a Tailwind here if it wants to. Rillaboom going to go for that Grassy Glide, going to break Focus Sash. Archaludon going for another Electro Shot. Might be targeting the Zoroark here, but we will see.
No, I think that's going into the Rillaboom. Oh,
Nope,
no,
it's
you're right.
Zoroark.
It is into the Zoroark. Okay.
And that's a Hurricane. Okay, so no Tailwind yet. And yeah, Hurricane on its own, it's not going to take out the Rillaboom. In combination with that Electro Shot, it would have. So, yeah, I guess on Alexavier's side here, if you are going to go for Electro Shot into the Zoroark, I think it's a good opportunity, or it would have been a good opportunity to set up the Tailwind here. If you commit to the Hurricane, I think you just commit to the double up into the Rillaboom. So it's like you had 2 options here as Alexavier, and you went for like half of that of each
But
option.
I think so, but it also does put the Rillaboom in range of attacks later in that Pelipper. I think the Pelipper is faster than the Rillaboom based on what we saw in game 1. And so putting it into range of just being Hurricaned again actually could be pretty strong. Although the Pelipper is in range of getting knocked out by the Zoroark this turn. And that does put a lot of pressure in to the Pelipper. Here it is, Terra Blast taking it out. So that Rillaboom is probably breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief here.
Oh yeah, definitely. And man, those stab Terra Blasts are just so strong. Like, normal type Pokemon that can just go for Terra Blast, they're scary. They're really, really scary. But Zoroark is going to go down here to this 3rd Electro Shot. So I believe that Archaludon is at +3 special attack now. that is really scary. But Alexavier does not have his Pelipper anymore, which means he does not have his speed control, and you know, cannot bring the rain back once it's gone. And I think we already saw, did Alexavier have the Basque Legion in the back?
Probably for this matchup. The Last Respects is far too strong overall, I think, to leave on the bench here. So Dondozo, the real one, is coming in. Yeah, Basque Legion in the back there. So the Dondozo comes in, but I think Carlos really needs all of that recovery from the leftovers of the grassy terrain to be able to get through all of these high HP Pokemon with Wave Crash. But I think the most noticeable thing here is Alexavier has held on to the Terra on Archaludon. Because they did it in game one, they kind of set that precedent where Carlos is probably thinking, no, they're going to respect the Terra Fighting Terra Blast from the Zoroark and therefore just go for the Terra Bug. I better knock out the Pelipper instead on that turn rather than trying to take a swipe at a Terra Bug or Chaludon. But Alexavier has held on to that. And I think that's really, really strong in this position because now this Archaludon is not weak to a Dondozo going for a Wave Crash into it. And that, I think, makes a really, really big difference to how this game plays out.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. Because if the Archaludon would have not been Terra Bug in that first game, that Wave Crash would have definitely not KO'd. And a Order Up definitely wouldn't have either, since it is the weaker move and, you know, does not get a boost from weather. So that is definitely very good to have here for Alexavier. We are going to see the Terra on the Ursaluna. I gotta say, as much as I've really learned to love Ursaluna as a Pokemon, having it on the field without speed control has always felt a little tricky to me personally. Dondozo here is going to go for a Protect, and it is going to be a Fake Out into the Archaludon. So I'm not falling for that Terra Ghost bait. Although the Terra Ghost is also great to have to not be weak to Grassy Glides anymore. We are going to get a Facade here and take out the Rillaboom.
And critical hit, of course, does not matter in that spot. Rillaboom already taken too much damage and no power control on Carlos' side of the field. Grassy terrain, keeping everything nice and healthy, but this second KO forces the Tatsugiri in. I don't think Carlos particularly minds the Tatsugiri coming in this spot, but probably would have preferred to get a little bit more done before the Dondozo and Tatsugiri combined here. And I think now looking at this spot, I don't know what you think here, Shona. I think, like, although Wave Crash looked really nice in this spot to try to target down the Ursaluna quickly, I do wonder if you've got to actually spend a little bit of time getting some Order Up boosts.
Yeah, potentially. I gotta say, I really like Alexavier's position here right now because you can go for like Electroshot and Headlong Rush and you'll hit the Dondozo super effective. It could of course take down your Ursaluna with a Wave Crash something, and that means that the Electroshot is not boosted anymore. But once the Terra Steel is out, which it is now, you're weak to Body Press and you don't resist Wave Crash anymore from the Basque Legion. Although the Basque Legion is probably going to end up going for Last Respects anyway, especially once the rain is gone.
Yes, definitely. Well, okay, so Substitute's gone up here. A big question mark if this Electroshot is going to be enough. The boost on the Archaludon don't matter at all into that spot. Not enough. This is really big. Headlong Rush will be enough to break the Substitute. But most critically, that Ursaluna is now taking a defense and special defense drop. A defense most notably. And it's now getting into a position where Ursaluna may actually go down to an Order Up.
Could very well go down to an Order Up. Also crucial here, the rain is not in effect anymore. I wonder if the Dondozo goes for another substitute here, does the... I'm not sure how much Body Press even does into Terra Steel Dondozo here.
It's not that much overall.
It's not that much, so it might not even break.
It's not as much as you want it to be, at least.
Yeah, right. That's, so... You can try to go for another Order Up here and force the Ursaluna to go for another Headlong Rush, if you're not 100% sure yet if one defense drop is enough.
Okay, so... Yeah, so it's like, whether or not you have to commit the wave crash to take all that recoil, or whether or not you can sort of steal a cheeky boost. Because the headlong rush is still a big threat in this spot to that Dondozo. If it doesn't go, I mean, I guess you could go for a substitute again, but no, order up into the Archaladon. Carlos predicting a protect on the Ursaluna in this case, but Alexavier holding strong, knowing that there's Pokemon in the back that they can rely on. I'm kind of a little bit of a sad Dragon Pulse there, but this headlong rush doing so much damage.
I understand wanting to predict a protect on the Ursaluna, but I feel like if you're Carlos here, you still just attack into the Ursaluna no matter how obvious the protect may seem, because the Archaladon really isn't doing anything to you here, and you really do not want to risk not attacking the Ursaluna and letting it just get a free headlong rush, because as we just saw, that was a lot of damage. And actually I'm surprised it didn't just take out the Dondozo despite the defense boost, but you know, Ursaluna is just that powerful of a Pokemon, but it's close, you know? It is very close.
Yeah, I think like there's also the idea that Alexavier switches the Archaladon, which isn't doing very much, into the Basculegion, and maybe you steal a KO as the Ursaluna protects. I think there's like there is merit in some worlds to what Carlos did there, but I understand what you're saying. Is like, with what happened, with the fact that the Ursaluna is that much of a threat, maybe that's there's an opportunity for something else to be able to happen. In any case, after 2 defense drops, a wave crash easily enough to pick up the KO onto this Ursaluna. That's going to be going down, but also I think the Dondozo might be taking enough recoil to be going down here too.
Yeah, it does, and that is not great for Carlos. I mean, the rain is not up anymore, so the Basculegion does not have a Swift Swing boost. But now all you have is this Tatsugiri, and the defense boosts are already there. Tatsugiri does not have Unaware, of course, like Dondozo, and also does not have the defenses. So yeah, that's just going to be GG there for these two players.
And I think that's a great way to finish that off for Carlos. I think after that prediction goes wrong and the headlong rush goes into the Dondozo, I think that's the like swag way. Rather than click the forfeit button, knock out your own Dondozo, get the Tatsugiri into a position where it can take some damage, and then get the Tatsugiri gets knocked out. It's like, good job,
I respect
Carlos.
that.
Like,
I respect that. Yeah.
You gotta have some fun with it if you're gonna be playing all these weeks. I think that's and you like I said, it's like you can see what Carlos is trying to go for there, and I think as a Dondozo player that can only do one thing every turn, you have to, I think, sometimes swing for the opportunity to always get something done, as opposed to sometimes not getting something done. In those end games where you've only got Dondozo, Tatsugiri, and your opponent has 3 Pokemon at their disposal, and like, yeah, targeting into the Ursaluna is probably on average the best thing to be able to do, even if it does go for the protect. But you can sometimes in those spots you've really got to try to push forward, even though it looks like it's a bit scary.
Yeah, as you said, you know, in that position, I think Carlos was already behind a little bit, so, you know, you want to make something out of every single turn in that case. And, you know, then it's fair to maybe go for a little bit riskier turns. For me, it because we were watching from Alexavier's perspective, and in his position, I would have never considered even going for the protect on the Ursaluna. So maybe that's why for me it's also easier to say that, yeah, you know, I would have just gone for, you know, into the Ursaluna slot with.
Yeah, like I personally, I would have tried to go for another substitute. I think that could have been a really cool play as well, because the headlong rush is the thing that breaks it.
Yes.
And so
to get more
you
defense
get into
drops as well.
More defense drops, and then you can do some order upping and, you know, give it a go. But hey, that's not how this match shook out. So congratulations to Alexavier winning the first match of our stream there, taking Puerto Rico to a first win of maybe several others. We are obviously there's 8 matches for every 8 matches for every match each week. going on in this World Cup. So that's a nice way to start things off, at least for the stream perspective. And we are going to be going to a quick break right now while we get game or match 2 set up. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes.